In order to fight Putin, Germans were suggested to shower less. Why and how is this related? But more about this in a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's begin with seeing the changes that happened in the map of the war over these weekends. First of all, let's go to the south, to the city of Odessa, where it has been reported that Russians launched several missile strikes against this city. According to the intelligence data, Russians used 4 missiles, and 2 of them reached their final destination, which was a military object of Ukraine. The third rocket was able to destroy a bridge, and the 4th one was intercepted. Next we go to the Kherson region, where Ukrainians reportedly destroyed another military object of Russians. At this very moment there is no certain data which object was this, but according to the color of the smoke, this most likely was some kind of chemical warehouse. Our next stop is in Nova Kakhovka, where once again Ukrainians were able to destroy yet another military warehouse of Russians. Over this weekend I was also able to get the video about the immediate consequences of missile strikes against city of Vinnytsia. And as you can see, the street signs literally melted because of the thermal explosion wave, and the neighboring buildings were also pretty much destroyed. Next we stop on the Zaporozhye region, and has been reported that Ukrainian army was able to destroy a small group of Russian soldiers who were occupying Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. It has been reported that 9 Russian soldiers are suffering from various injuries, and several of them have died. And before we go to the most active battle zone of this war, the east of the country, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you like this style of daily news reporting. Alright, so our first stop is in the city of Bakhmut, which is, and you already know it, is a very important strategic location for both Russians and Ukrainians. And so, as for now, Russians are not able to invade this city. That is why the only thing left for them to do is to constantly shell this city. The explosion crater that you see in this video is approximately 4 meters deep. Another shelling of Russian army happened in Donetsk, and unfortunately, as a result of these bombings, a civilian building has been destroyed. And now let's go to the most active zone in this region. Last week the representatives of the Luhansk region were saying that Ukrainian army was slowly retreating from Seversk. And today the very same sources are saying that the Russian army has full control over this city. And just like last week, the trustworthiness of these sources is not yet confirmed. That is why this information is questionable. Because according to the official data presented on this map, we actually see that Ukrainian army was able to take back some of the territory. Another piece of land that Ukrainian army was able to take back through fighting was a little bit of this territory next to the city of Vidrazhenia. Several reports also claim that at this very moment Russians are doing tactical regrouping between cities of Izum and Slavyansk, and at the same time they also attempt several individual advancements, but most of these attacks are resisted by Ukrainian army. And now a couple of words about the northern part of this eastern region. For the last several days Russians were trying to advance and capture this small town of Dmitrievka. But according to the advice of the president of Ukraine, Alexei Arestovich, Ukrainians were even able to do the counter-offensive in this region. And as a result of this counter-offensive, Ukrainians were able to destroy the entire Russian platoon and even capture their ammunition, weapons and the commander of the platoon. Which, by the way, ironically, was an ex-Ukrainian citizen. To sum up the map of the war at this very moment, as you can see, Russians are not advancing basically anywhere significantly. And at the same time, Ukrainians are able to resist most of the attacks and even start taking back the initiative in this war. And this whole situation is perfectly summarized by the military expert Oleg Zhdanov. He basically said that the Russians started this invasion with all the modern equipment, and now, because it's basically all destroyed, now they have to use the equipment from the past. But at the same time, Ukrainians started defending themselves with whatever equipment and weapons they had, and now they're getting all the modern equipment from the West. In addition to that, the Minister of Defense of Russia, Sergei Shoigu, reportedly gave an order to increase military presence of Russia across entire territory of Ukraine. And you will absolutely not believe the reason why he said that this presence must be increased. According to him, Russia must have way more soldiers in Ukraine to prevent Ukrainians from killing Ukrainians. Here is a sip of Russian tea for perfect logical sequence of Sergei Shoigu. And before I tell you exactly why Germans were told to shower less so they can fight against Putin, please consider checking my very own Discord. In this place you can talk with me personally about practically anything you want. And at the same time, we as a community constantly donate money to Ukraine at the end of each month. And if you want to be a part of this group donation, please consider checking my Patreon. All the links can be found in the description. Welcome to another episode of ridiculous Russian propaganda. So basically, yes, according to this unknown source, which has been heavily cited across entire Russian media, the government of Germany suggests that whenever Germans are taking shower, they should only wash mandatory parts. And these mandatory parts are obviously armpits, feet, and lady and man parts. And the reason how, according to this obviously unverified source, how this can fight against Putin is so that Germans will pay less for utilities, which basically means that all this money that will be paid for utilities such as water or gas that is used to heat the water will not end up in the Russian budget, so that Putin will not be able to use this money and buy more weapons. And once again, I was not able to find any original source of these posts or articles or any trustworthy German website. This was only circulating among Russian media, and so I will not be surprised if this was actually created by Russians to be presented as the official statement of the country of Germany. Okay, so if you remember, last week North Korea acknowledged the independence of Luhansk and Donetsk regions. And as a result of these actions, Ukraine immediately cut all the diplomatic relations with North Korea. But you will simply not believe ridiculous statements of the Russian government about this whole situation. So first of all, we have the press secretary of Russia, Dmitriy Peskov, who said that Russia considers this voluntary step of North Korea as something positive. In his understanding, North Korea did this and set a very good example for all the other countries, and basically means that Russia expects that other countries will recognize the independence as well. Because yeah, everyone wants to be just like North Korea. And then we have this official letter from, pay attention here, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of North Korea. And this letter basically says that the country will start developing economic relations with these two regions. The first very questionable thing is the existence of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of North Korea. And the second questionable thing is that the Russians refer to this somehow official letter. Which makes me want to raise another question, whether North Korea itself knows that they actually recognize the independence of Luhansk and Donetsk. Because it does seem like that Russia just did it for themselves and presented to the world just like, look at this, North Korea did this and so should you. Okay, so we've reached all the way until this part of the video. You're a true hero, so please consider becoming my channel member. Thank you so much for your attention, check the links in the description, stay safe and see you tomorrow.